If you're between 30 and 40 years old and thinking about buying a house, or if you already have, stop everything right now. What you're about to hear can save you years of your financial life or confirm a mistake that almost no one notices in time. Because there is a silent, simple number that doesn't appear in ads, isn't explained by the realtor, and is rarely discussed within families. And ignoring this number is what makes thousands of people work more, live less, and spend decades feeling like money is never enough. The problem is that buying a house is sold as a victory, as maturity, as I've made it. But what if for most people this isn't an achievement, but the beginning of a well-disguised financial prison? Think with me. You spend years saving, sacrificing, giving up travel, leisure, comfort, all to make the down payment. You sign a long contract, far too long, and in that moment, you feel relief, pride, security. But no one asks you one fundamental question before that signature. Do you know how much this house will really cost you in your life? I'm not talking only about money. I'm talking about time, freedom, and the choices you stop making. Most people look only at the monthly payment. It fits in the budget. That's the mistake. Because the critical number isn't the installment amount. It's the percentage of your future financial life that you're committing without realizing it. And this is where the real danger begins. When you're 30 or 40 years old, you're at the peak of your productive capacity. It's when you could take calculated risks, change careers, start a business, invest aggressively, and grow. But by buying a house without understanding this number, you turn this phase into survival mode. You start living to maintain something instead of growing. And do you know what happens next? You begin to turn down opportunities. A better job in another city? Can't do it. Starting your own business? Too risky right now. Investing more aggressively? Better not. There's the mortgage. The house, which should be security, becomes an invisible anchor. And the cruelest part, this doesn't happen all at once. It happens slowly, so slowly that you only realize it when you're already too tired to turn back. If this is already making sense to you, take a moment now and leave a like. It helps the channel keep bringing content that almost no one has the courage to talk about. And subscribe, because what comes next can completely change the way you make financial decisions. Now let me explain why 80% of people ignore this critical number. Because no one teaches it. School doesn't teach it. Banks have no interest in it. And the real estate market survives by keeping this illusion alive. They show you the finished house, the assembled dream, the smiling family. But they hide the accumulated impact over 20 or 30 years. The number is simple, but devastating. How much of your total lifetime income will be drained by a single asset that doesn't generate income? And no, property appreciation doesn't solve this the way they make you believe. Because while you wait for that appreciation, you pay interest, taxes, maintenance, insurance, renovations, and lost opportunities. The house grows in value on paper, but your freedom shrinks in real life. And here's the point almost no one is willing to accept. It's not that buying a house is always wrong. It's that buying without understanding this number is a mistake that costs decades. Now pay attention, because this is where many people start to feel uncomfortable. And that discomfort is a sign that you're seeing something real. Let's put this in simple terms. Imagine two people of the same age, same income, same potential. One buys a house early, financed, the other doesn't. The first person commits a fixed portion of their income for decades. No matter if their salary drops, the market changes, or crises appear. The payment is there. Every month, no negotiation. The second person keeps flexibility. They can make mistakes, adjust, change, accelerate. The mistake isn't the house. The mistake is the rigidity it imposes at exactly the stage of life when you most need financial mobility. And this is where the critical number almost no one calculates comes in. It's not 30% of income. It's not the interest rate. It's not the total amount financed. It's the total cost of staying, how much it costs to keep that decision alive over time. Because the mortgage doesn't end when you sign the contract. That's when it actually begins. Every year you pay taxes. Every year, unexpected maintenance appears, renovations that can't wait, expenses that don't show up in the bank's simulation. And meanwhile, your income grows, but your sense of progress doesn't. You start earning more, and even so, you still feel tight on money. That's one of the clearest signs that something is wrong, and almost no one notices it. Money comes in, but it doesn't set you free. It only sustains an old decision. And now comes the most dangerous part. When you realize this, years have usually already passed. And then a second mistake appears, the mistake of attachment. You think, I've already invested too much to leave now. It's too late. Once it's paid off, it'll get better. But time doesn't wait for the payoff. While you hold on to that decision, the market changes, opportunities change, and you change. But financially, you stay stuck. This is the true invisible cost. It's not the money you pay. It's the money you fail to earn. It's the business you didn't start, the investment you didn't make, the move you postponed. And here's the question almost no one asks before buying a house. If I put all of this on paper, does this decision accelerate or delay my financial life? Most people don't even want to know the answer because it hurts. It hurts to admit that something seen as right might be holding you back. It hurts to realize that the dream being sold may not match your reality, but ignoring this costs far more. And if you're listening to this now, you might be exactly at the critical point, thinking about buying or trying to justify a purchase you've already made. If you know someone at this stage, this is the kind of content worth sharing, because no one warns you beforehand, only afterward. And now we reach the point that separates those who stay trapped from those who anticipate. The problem isn't having a place to live, it's immobilizing your financial life too early. There's a huge difference between having a roof over your head and having a commitment that defines your choices. Now let's be direct, because this is the kind of truth that changes decisions. There is a right moment to buy a house. And for most people, that moment is not when they think it is. The mistake starts when the decision is driven by comparison. Friends buying, family pressure, the feeling of falling behind. But finances don't work on a social calendar. They work on structure. And here comes the question almost no one answers honestly. If my income stopped growing for 5 years, could I still sustain this decision without destroying my quality of life? Most people say yes, but they've never tested that scenario. Because in people's minds, income will always rise. The job will always exist. The market will always help. But reality doesn't work that way. Crises don't warn you. Layoffs don't ask for permission. And the bank doesn't care about your plans. When you buy a house too early, you're betting that everything will go right for decades in a row. And that's a dangerous bet. Now let me show you how to identify the critical number in practice. Take the total amount you will pay for the property over the life of the mortgage, not the price of the house, the total including interest. Add taxes, average maintenance, insurance, and predictable renovations. Now project this over 20 or 30 years. Then ask an uncomfortable question. How much could this same money have grown if it had been invested consistently? This is where many people freeze, because they realize they're not just buying a house. They're giving up an alternative future. And the earlier in life you do this, the higher the invisible cost. Who buys at 30 pays with money. Who buys at 30 pays with compounded time. That's the number 80% ignore. It's not the value of the property, it's the growth you kill without realizing it. And here's the detail almost no one talks about. The earlier you commit, the later you feel exhausted. Exhausted from working just to maintain. Exhausted from watching others move ahead. Exhausted from not being allowed to make mistakes. The house becomes a completed goal, but your financial life goes into waiting mode. Now, does this mean you should never buy a house? No. It means you should buy when the house doesn't need you to survive, when the payment doesn't define your choices, when losing income doesn't cause panic, when investing is still possible. That's the turning point. And if you're new to the channel, leave a like and subscribe. This kind of content doesn't show up in bank ads or realtor conversations. Here we talk about what really weighs on you in the long run. See you in the next video.